Five. Billy from Philly, how's it going, buddy? Just got to adjust a few things. How's everybody doing? Let me wipe this here screen off with my finger. There we go. I'm getting better at this, guys. Okay. Just getting my phone set up here. There we go. Just getting my phone set up here. There we go. Okay, who's in here? Billy from Philly. Who's in here? Oh, better turn the sound off on this here machine. There we go. Can you guys tell I'm just a wrench puller? RYDPLRS. Hey, Tin Man, thanks for the no excuse to go out and chop ice. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about the weather. Stevie Thoreau. Buzz Honey and Firewood. Doing good, buddy. Thanks for asking. Jolie Light, howdy. Also a howdy. Ken Small Engine Repair. How's it going, buddy? Just making sure I say hey. Paul Sanchez, Beanzer. Good evening from Scotland. That's so cool. You know, it's so cool that people watch from all over the world. Hey, Paul Thompson, Graham Proctor. Gideon Meany from South Africa. Wow. Welcome, buddy. That's pretty cool. Tennessee, Dave. I've been to Tennessee. I love it there. Pano Sisak. Greetings from Greece. How's it going? I love the Greeks. A lot of Greeks in my area. Sagebrush Hillbilly, thanks for joining, buddy. Joe Rainis. Joe, I'm going to do that for you, buddy. it's up here. Joe's a good fella. Good friend of this channel. D. Rich. Hey, from Maine. Paul Wright. Love from the UK. You know, it's cool. We got more people from over the ocean today than ever, I think. Jason Callan, hey Tin Man, everybody, hope you are having a good Sunday. You know, I am. It's nice out. I was gonna go cutting, but I can't get there. I'm gonna shoot a little video for you guys after we're done here. You guys are gonna see how much snow we have. It's chest deep in most areas. You can't even walk around. I hope I don't run out of firewood. 37 already. Awesome. I think it's so cool that you guys show up to come see the Tin Man. Jeff Jensen, greetings from Denmark. I actually listened to a couple of bands from Denmark. You guys make good music. The Iron Horse. Hey, Harp. I think you got me beat. There's mine. This one's an 8 out of 10, I would say. Anyhow. Oh, where are we at? The Iron Horse. I love it. What do I have to my right? 298. This is a little sneak peek of an upcoming video. One of you good folks out there hooked me up, which is awesome. You guys are so good to me. G. Duncan, hey, from Scotland. I love it. This is so cool. My grandmother was a Scot. Very heavy accent. I remember as a young boy, really kind of squinting. She had a serious accent. Okay. Tasman, how's it going, buddy? What are you guys working on? I was actually working on the 590 Echo yesterday. It ran good for a little bit. Watch this week. I'll show you a video. I literally just had it on the bench. Then I saw the time and I thought I better sneak in a little live. Um, yeah, that Echo, friends. Once a year or once every once in a while, you get one of those machines that just don't want to cooperate. That's the one. I'm gonna get it. I think I'm gonna make another video. I did get it running yesterday and it ran okay. I'm not sure if it's fixed or not, so keep your fingers crossed. Um, MTDs. Yeah, I usually don't touch those. The entry level saws. I find that usually the carburetors don't tune. Hi from Sweden. Right on. Bergman. I would love to go to Sweden. I don't know. Something about Sweden just draws me there. Seems like a beautiful country, good people. I want to go to Sweden. I want to go to Australia. I want to do some more traveling in the States. Um, Hopefully, when the world opens up, we can have a get together of some kind. Coolin S25 needs a coil and carb rebuild. My first saw to try and get running. Right on, Scott. If you need a hand, just shoot me an email, buddy. I've never worked on one of those, but sometimes I might know something, or maybe I know somebody that knows something. Yeah, Harv, my 94 is pretty sweet. I was flabbergasted when my buddy traded me for that. Yeah, Husqvarna. Yeah, I would. I would love to go to the Husqvarna factory. Um, yeah, Sweden's a cool place. I don't know. I've never been there, but I've seen lots of video, and yeah, I would love to go there. Hey, Adam Windschittle. How's it going, buddy? Did you guys get 19 feet of snow also? I have so much snow right now, I can't even move. I'm gonna have to use the skid steer to get more firewood. My firewood is buried under 4 feet of snow right now. A couple of storms ago, took out my woodshed. All the wood in my woodshed's wet now. Uh, it's been tough going. I have like 6 cord of firewood ready to go, but I can't get to it. I underwooded and underprepared. Oh, so we got all the snow up here. Chatty Factory. Hey, Tin Man, what would be the reason my home light will idle everything fine, but when I hit the gas and get the revs high, it just suddenly dies? No puttering, it just dies. Um, that could be an air leak. That could be an impulse leak. Because remember, those impulse from the intake block, you could have a intake leak. We're actually going to talk about that on a 266 carcass today, if you guys are interested. Um, or you could need diaphragms in your carburetor. That diaphragm might be stiff and it's not pumping. Or sometimes you could have a crank seal leak. You could have a worn top end. Sometimes a really worn out top end, when they get hot, you lose compression and the saw will die. It's not pulling, it's not pulling vacuum, so that also can affect your your carburetor, or it's just running low on compression and it'll die. I had a saw like that years ago. How's my water supply? I hauled water 2 days before the last storm. I'm going to throw together a little video for you guys. It blew 60 mile an hour sustained winds for about 30, 36 hours, something like that. And we got about 12 inches of snow mixed in there. Well, it all blew into my yard. There was drifts higher than the garage door on the house, over the front deck. Um, 4 hours of skid steering to clean myself out, and now both sides of the driveway have about 12-foot piles. Just crazy. Hey, Yank Doodle, how's it going, buddy? I am not enjoying the weather up here. This has been a hard winter. I've been working outside my whole life, and this winter it's been a little trying. It's hard to get out of the van when I get to the job site. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of frostbite this year. My ears, fingertips, my nose. Yeah. There you go, Chatty Factory. Yeah, if your top end scored, especially the rings, you can have a scored piston. Those scores of the piston will just hold oil. But if your rings are scored, you're losing compression, and that's usually a sign the saw will just die. It'll run fine cold. As everything expands, it'll just, it'll die. Having air leak troubles with 3 Series intake boots on Huskies. 3 saws all at once. Has anyone tried the new manufactured boots with the yellow mark? I have not. Usually 372s, when they leak, that plastic flange that butts up against the carburetor, 2 screws go through. Often those have been over snugged, or they tend to warp. I use the metal Farmer Tech ones, and then I tend to not have the intake leaks. Not that I have a ton of 372 experience, but the ones I've worked on, that seems to be a problem. Just catching up here. Okay, Chatty Factory, if the rings are perfect, they might have too much end gap. Those home lights will run and run and run, and what ends up happening, if the rings get thin, that could be another problem. As the rings get thin, you can lose compression. Most home lights have pretty stout compression. When you pull them over, they go thump thump. Or you could need a carb rebuild, or you could have a leak at the intake for sure. Joey Light, after watching your channel, Tin Man, I went and bought an old broke down 55, rebuilt her, and opened the ports just a little. Nothing big. Now I have a saw that'll fire every time. Oh, wow, Scott Miller, Shop Supplies. Thanks, buddy. I'm in need of brake clean. Thank you. Means a lot to me when you guys help out the channel. It really does. This channel is 100% supported by you guys out there. I'm still not taking sponsors. The only company that helps this channel out is Wolf Creek. So if you guys are looking for if you guys are looking for top ends and things like that, pistons, cylinders, crank seals, bearings, please check out Wolf Creek. Tell them the Tin Man sent you. I'd really appreciate that, guys. Wolf Creek has helped this channel tremendously just by getting me parts here a lot of times. I used to struggle getting parts to Canada in a timely fashion. So if you guys want good service and just a friendly, pleasant fella to deal with, go check out Wolf Creek. Jamie Barkin Spider. Yo, Tin Man, love the 850 build. Fucking looks lit with it. Friends, I'm really happy with that build. I'm not happy with every saw I build. I'm an honest fella. I try to be honest with myself, because if I lie to myself, I'm not going to get better. And I'm always trying to up my saw game and show you guys the little things that I'm learning. My inclination was to keep going hotter with that saw, but after running it a bit, I thought, no, it's pretty stout. So I mailed it. And what was the worst that could happen? I wanted a saw that would start, idle, tune, and pull a 32, and pull it hard. And I think we got that. We'll find out, though. I want Bucket to run that saw, and if he don't like it, send it back, and we can go further. Macs are getting harder to find, and I want it to go but I'm really happy with that saw. It's pretty neat. It's pretty cool to be able to do this on YouTube and share this stuff with you guys. Holy smokes, Buck and Billy Ray Smith. I think I've heard of that guy. Thank you, buddy. Good feller. Thinner the piston ring is, the less tension it has on the cylinder wall. Correct, Greg Cassidy. Also, the more brittle they get, you tend to break rings if they go too far. I've seen a lot of saws, people take the top end off and they're trying to pull the ring off and it just shatters. That's usually a ring that's been too thin. It's lost its strength and they just crack and fall apart. I have a couple of different boots, have the metal collar. I'm still not doing a lot of trial and error, but a theory I have is the mating surface at the carb seals may be worn. Yeah, it's possible. You know, sometimes you get those, you know, saws that mess with you. You'll figure it out, buddy. Okay, getting caught up here. Thank you, Buckin. David Ryan, thank you, buddy. Wolf Creek. That Ryan at Wolf Creek is such a good fella. What can I say? He's a good fella. Just getting caught up here. Holy smokes. Joe Reynes. Thank you, buddy. Brake clean and Loctite tubes. Yeah, we go through a lot of Loctite in this shop. Because I used to wrench on Harleys, I'm a Loctite guy, and I like to Loctite my saws together. A little bit of a pain for the next guy when he's like, why is this, you know, so tight till you get it out? But nothing's worse than losing an unobtainium fastener in a pile of sawdust in the bush. There's all kinds of parts and pieces in my yard. I'll be cutting with a saw, I look down, oh, this fell off, can't find it. There we go. Gainsey, thank you, buddy. Doesn't say anything, just pops in, helps out the channel. You guys are great. Hey, Nate Olmsted. Thank you, buddy. We're going to get that flywheel off, friends. It was funny reading the comments. A lot of you have done that before. I'll figure it out, friends. One thing to remember, I'm a jack of all. I'm a master of none. I'm a mechanic, saw porter, wrench puller. You know, my welding skills are rudimentary at best, but I try, right? That's all you can do is try. That thing, I've dealt with a lot of stuck flywheels in my life. I had a 266 that took me a month to get it off. That is the most stuck flywheel I've ever dealt with. I was playing with it this morning. I don't want to apply a torch to it. I could. I'm scared I'm going to catch everything on fire underneath. So that thing, I think it's rusted on. We'll get it off. I'm hoping to not break the crankshaft to get it off, because that's always the problem. Even with the nut on, sometimes you get enough tension on there, you will break that crankshaft. So I put her back together today again. I was a little bit nervous. Is a 32cc Mac worth $60 if it works and looks brand new? If you want it, why not? Who am I to say what's worth what? If you need a 32cc saw, you think it's fun, buy it. Play with it. Friends, I bought and played with many saws before I got onto YouTube. I would keep the ones I like, and I would pass on the ones I didn't like to other folks. That's why a lot of people ask me, you know, can I port this saw or that saw? There's so many saws that I have that I want to port that it's hard to add even more. You know what I mean? I don't do much with little saws. I could run little saws here. We got lots of small timber. I like big, nasty power saws, you know? Ones that are a little scary when you pull the trigger. Thank you, Tasman. Yeah, if you guys could hit that thumbs up, that helps the channel. Chris's Small Engines, good afternoon from Brampton. I used to have a buddy that lived in Brampton. Welcome, buddy. Thanks for being here. It's okay, I forget to do this all the time. I'll be watching a live feed and somebody says, hey, hit the thumbs up, and I go, oh. And I'm one of them YouTubey fellas. Hey, Tin Man, 266 isn't oiling. The saw has sat for a while. Any suggestions? Check the gear. Check that plastic gear behind the clutch. Those are known to pile up. And pull the oil pump off and make sure the gears are free. I've had that gear seize and you literally can't turn it. The first sign of that is the plastic gear will be piled up. Big saws get pricey fast. Yeah, around here, if you're looking for big saws, they're like this 298. I had to have this for the channel, friends. It wasn't cheap, but I was like, I gotta have this. I gotta show the folks this thing. There's not many big saws around my end, so thank you to you guys that send this stuff, because I don't have access to a lot of these big saws. So I seriously, I appreciate you guys out there. You guys really help out the channel. There's so many of you that help out. It's great. Corey Pollock, thanks, buddy. You pop in, you super chat, you don't even have a question. I mean, you folks out there are incredible. You guys want to talk about 266 air leaks? I've been getting a lot of questions. I guess you guys are building 66s, 61s. Are you guys interested in that? Give me a thumbs up or yeah. I like this format because we can talk in real time. I'm gonna take a sip of the old water here. A little parched today. It's pretty warm in here. What height of pop-up would you recommend on a 272? That depends, Marcel. Pop-ups are a subjective thing. Depends on how high you want your exhaust roof. Depends on your combustion chamber shape. How many cc's you want the end combustion chamber, and how much distance do you have over top of the ring. You could do 100 thousandths pop-up on a lot of saws, but the problem is you're going to break the top of the piston off. That's the fine line. Guys, if you have a lathe and you're cutting pop-ups, be careful not to go too thin over your ring. And it's hard to know how far to go. The way you find out is you pop a few saws and you go, okay, I'm going to back off. Sometimes 10 thousandths is the difference in height. Most pop-ups, most saws will tolerate a 30 thou pop-up. Any more than that, you really got to start measuring and figure out, depending on how hard the piston is. If your piston's harder, it'll be more brittle. It'll wear less as time goes on. But if your piston's more brittle, or you think it's more brittle, you need more material over top of the ring. Bucket's home light is killer. How's it holding up? It's holding up surprisingly well. That home light is more of a hot saw. It was one of those saws. I ported it, put it back together. I built like 3 of them. It was just one of those things I wanted to try. And I wasn't getting the absolute, giggly power out of that thing. So I went in a completely different direction on that build. The question was, how long is it going to last? Well, he's used that thing quite a bit. Ported saws last as long as anything else if you take good care of them, and that means don't lean them out and don't run a dull saw. They'll last as long as a stock saw, as long as you know. That's my opinion, of course. I don't know. Some people say they don't last as long, but I haven't experienced excessive wear on any ported saw that I've built. But again, I don't widen my ports a lot. Sometimes you want to, but I tend to stay away from that because it's really hard on piston skirts and rings. And if you're porting for a production guy like Buck, and those guys put a lot of hours on saws, they'll last. But when that skirt gets thin, you're gonna break the bottom of that piston off pretty quick, and then that's, you know what I mean. Oh, you're welcome, Marcel. Recently bought an old 044, has an aftermarket piston and cylinder on it. The arrow on the piston points towards the intake side. Runs good, but I'm worried this will cause damage. Should I turn it around? I would. Um, maybe the arrow's pointed backwards. Can you see the ring? Can you see the ring pins through the exhaust port? If you can't, you're probably okay. Me, I would pop the top end off because if that does catch, that'll be the end of that saw. Yeah, I would worry about that too. Um, I don't know if you guys have ever put a piston in backwards. I never have, but I've met many a guy that has. You know, you get hurried or the phone rings. Often they'll last for seconds and it's just dunk. So, G466 holds form. I'm waiting on a Proline carb. Hey, Tin Man, waving from the Ozarks in Missouri. Well, I'm sure you've been asked before. So, would you tell me if a 610 is worth porting? I think any saw is worth porting, as long as it has a good carburetor. The problem is with the Max, they're super hard to port. So, if you haven't ported a saw before, Max can be a little tricky. Um, they take different moves than any saw I've ported. Most saws that I port have similar moves that I use. Max are totally different. But yeah, I have a 610, 650. 4.5 degrees Celsius here in Mount Currie, BC. Send some of that this way, Slim. Should oil come out of the vent hole on a 266? Yes, often it does. Some of mine do it excessively, some don't. The older ones, the vent is right here. I find that a lot of these leak, especially if you're bucking. Um, yeah, that's pretty common on them. They are old saws. They're a little leaky. Hey Tim, I put the 590 together yesterday. Keep your fingers crossed. I did run it. It seems better. Watch this week for a video. I made a video for you guys. There you go. The 610 is a good saw. I don't have a ton of Mac experience other than, Pro Mac 55. I haven't even put that, what is that, a 171 in the wood. The 800, I'm still trying to find the time to run it. That one runs. Super Pro 70 and the Pro Mac 850. Other than that, I do have, I think it's a Super 650 or something like that, hanging up over there. Have I ported a 5 Series saw yet? Nope, I have not. I have a 576 and a 562, and I've never had the urge to port those because I find they run. They're pretty strong. I do have a spare top end for my 76. I'll probably give her a go one of these days. Gas Axe Customs, love and appreciate you taking the time to do this. Hey, I love and appreciate that you guys show up here. Folks are busy and you got stuff going on and you guys take the time to come and hang out in the shop. So, thank you. It means a lot to me. This channel, what keeps me going? You guys. I keep trying to make good content for you guys and just, trying to share what I know. You guys share stuff with me all the time. I'm constantly getting emails and just you guys helping me out. That it's the least I can do is to show up. I appreciate it. Gotta figure out how to convert a 2-piston Evinrude 2-stroke motor into a chainsaw. I'd like to build a hot saw in the future with not a 1-cylinder, a 2-cylinder sled engine, preferably an air-cooled one. Um, it would be heavy, but once it touches the log, I can just let go and let it boogie. That would be fun. We should do that one day. A while ago, I had a still 510 or S10. I never know if those 510s or S10s. I always call it an S10, like the Chevrolet. I had me an S10 back in the day. Am I planning on porting that? No, Marcel. I actually gave that to my buddy Fab Willie. I ended up for decoration in his shop, and I threw it in the back of his truck one day and told him to take it home. Jolie Light, anyone in the chat have a good place to buy saws and rebuild? Facebook's about the only source. Yeah, Jolie, Facebook, local classifieds, farm auctions, estate auctions. Once you start buying saws, you'll meet people that sell saws. You'll meet arborists that have a pile of blown up saws. It's a tall mountain to climb, but once you get there, saws will just be coming to you all the time. Put up a local classified ad that you're looking for power saws, blown up ones, and let them come to you. That way you're not driving around. I used to do that a lot. I would put up ads and buy saws and parts from locals, and that's what kept the channel going. Thank you, Brian. Jamie Barkin Spider, towards the channel. You bring the knowledge and good vibe like Buckin. Thank you. That watching Buckin's channel made me a better human being. I will say that. Not only is he my friend, but I appreciate his good vibes and his good attitude. And he's just a good fella. It all started, friends, this channel started with that axe. Isn't that funny? This axe here. Here, I'll grab it. This axe means a lot to me. My original double. Buckin mentioned this axe in that video. And my wife ordered this for me. I just started YouTubing. And at that time, I was just trying to show what I knew, right? And I'm always learning. And I know what I know. And if I don't know something, I'm... you know what I mean, friends? But, I was making little videos here and there of little tricks and tips that I learned. And my wife ordered this axe for me from Buckin. And I love this thing. It's, what's cool about this axe, about the hangs he does? Like, this thing has not budged, and I have split cord after cord of knotty, twisted prairie wood with this thing, and it's tight. Like, it's impressive. But, yeah, it was just funny, and then eventually one day our paths crossed, and here we are. So, I really love this axe. It means a lot to me. Recently got a 1050 Super. Piston and cylinder look perfect, but outside looks a little beat up. Have you ever ported one, and is it much to be gained by porting it? I've never touched a 1050 Super. You're talking about the home light, right? I would love to do one. Home lights, just like Max, are very tricky to port. They don't leave you much room. I find porting home lights, you got to do a lot of measuring because there's not a lot of extra room to do things. I'm sure a 1050 could be a serious saw. We're going to find out soon. 922 is hanging up over there. I'm going to do a big boy home light and see what kind of gains we can get out of it. Just waiting. It's supposed to be getting warm. We're getting into spring here, so now that it's warmer, I hate running my grinder when it's cold. It's really hard on the shaft. The bits don't cut as nice. So I haven't been doing a lot of porting lately just because of the weather. Can a Poulin 5020 be ported or not? Any two-stroke can be ported. If it's a entry-level clamshell, I mean, you could if you just want to learn how to port. The problem is with those, they usually have huge squish, and what's going to happen generally is the cranks and or the bearings are going to let go. And usually the carburetors don't tune very nice, so it could be a little frustrating, but if you know all that going into it and you poured it and it blows up in a tank and you're prepared for that, then it's it's a good deal. There you go. Jason Collins says junk pullets respond really well to mods. There you go. I only know what I know. Hey, Steve Small Engine Saloon. I think I saw him on the YouTube. There's another channel, friends. I was a YouTube watcher, and like I love Steve Small Engine Saloon. He puts out, when it comes to small engine repair, he does such a good job. Entertainment, informative. The guy knows what he's doing. That air hammer trick, that's really smart. Like that's the sign. Steve-O's been wrenching for a long time. Like that right there is brilliant. And that's what YouTube's about, is sharing stuff like that. Like that's a great move. I never thought of it. I'm gonna use that move for sure. I will. Thanks for coming by, Steve. 140 watching now and only 89 thumbs up. Yeah, I think Tasman's going to have to be a moderator. Just trying to get caught up on the comments. My Poolin Pro 655, it doesn't run right unless the load jet is 3 turns out. You probably have an air leak. I would pressure and vac test that saw, or just reseal it before you do damage to that. That's tough, when you have a saw that still runs, but it's a little weird on the carburetor. It's tough to shut her down and pull her apart, but oh yeah, an old 2-stroke Cafe Racer bike engine. Yeah, like I could build a hot saw out of like a CR250. But I thought, if we're going to build a hot saw on this channel one day, let's make it a multiple cylinder hot saw. What about like a 3-cylinder Polaris motor? Oh yeah. I'm a big fella. I'm sure I could pick that up. That would be a lot of fun. I don't know if my back would like it, but my giggly brain would. Think how much fun that would be. Life in the 906. Hey, buddy. 3.5 turns out on low jet normal with a new carb kit? No, definitely not. What carburetor is on that Poolin 655? Is that a HS Tillotson? Probably is. How do you put a timing wheel on a chainsaw? Matthew Workshop. Go in my channel and search timing wheel, or go into my how to port a chainsaw series. It's all in there, buddy. All of it. Pretty much every time I port a saw, I go through the task of setting up a timing wheel so you guys can see. I like to do that. Just catching up. Holy smokes, 133 on the live feed. Thank you for everybody for showing up. Steve, you got my number. You find a nice 2100. You just tell me what I need to do to make that machine mine. 2100 is, I got this 298 here, but I want a 2100. I don't know why. And it's funny, friends out there, I have little to no use for big saws, but I love them. like here, that 461 that I run, that'll cut down anything that grows here, but it sure is funner when you have like an extra 30 cc's. Any tips on porting a Husqvarna 390? I've never done one. I have one hanging up. It needs a lot of love to get it going. Maybe I'm gonna look around and see if I can find a blown up 390 or 385. I would love to do one. As far as I know, that's just a big 372. Yeah, that's right, Yank. I don't blame you. Those 2100s are cool. I'm always looking for saws. I don't need more saws, but I like having more saws. More different, weird saws to show on the channel is what I'm all about. How to port the Power Saw series or Chainsaw series. Seen it like 75 times. Learned something new every time. Thanks, Billy. I was so proud of that series. I worked on that for 15 or 16 weeks. I might this summer when the weather's better, I would like to do a more in-depth how to really port a power saw series where we can get into machine work, combustion chambers, all the little moves. I wanted everybody to kind of get into basic porting. I know that series is really long, but it's all there. I literally tried to put every ounce of entry level knowledge that I had into one series so that anybody could port. Because I realized there's not a lot of guys that port, and the lineups, you know, the lineups for if you're waiting for somebody to port, can be quite long. It can take years to get a saw back. So I just figured there's not enough power saw porters. You know, why not help folks do it themselves? Is there a quick way to check for air leaks with starting fluid? Yeah, spray around the clutch and flywheel. It's hard to find an air leaker on the carb because when you spray around the carb, it'll suck it in to the air filter usually. But yeah, I do that all the time. If I think it saw as an air leak, like if I turn it on its side and it starts leaking or it starts idling funny, I'll take carb cleaner and just go and if it sucks that in, it'll die instantly. And then you know. Keep the questions coming. I love this stuff. Do you have any videos or advice about a Johnster at 630 Super? I acquired one that needs some work. 410 Mercury. I just took apart a 630 Super. It's up here on the bench. A 630 Super is just a smaller 266. Any of my videos on 266s apply to the 630 Super. If you were going to port that saw, the main thing with smaller saws, they're not going to tolerate as much intake timing, and they're not going to tolerate as high of an exhaust roof. So, um, a 266 top end will bolt right on that. How awesome can I make an MS 462? I don't know. I've never even run a 462. I'm sure I could turn it up a little bit. I don't know. I never say, oh yeah, I could port that. What I've learned about power saws is right when you think you got it all figured out, you get an Echo 590 that throws you for a loop. Or, you know what I mean, friends? Even this saw. I asked Buckin for this saw back. He thinks this thing's a screamer, and it is. I wanted this Super Pro 70 to have more pull. This thing revs up like no Mac I've ever run, but it needs a little more grunt when you dog it in. So, um, you know, I'm always trying to learn. I never, that's why, you know, I don't port a lot of the same saws again and again and again. 266s I've done a lot of, but I find I learn a little from this saw and a little from that saw. We always need more saws. Yes, we do. I use your porting videos as a reference as I work on my 266. That's awesome. I'm so glad that YouTube's here, that this stuff will be here for a long time. I know as what I'm learning though, friends, is as my channel grows and more people come in, and I mean I don't even know how many videos I have, 600, 500. Um, Sometimes I'm probably gonna jump back into older content and redo it just to keep it fresh. Um, I think that the more advanced series would be really cool. Yeah, that one's gonna be harder to make, just because I don't want you guys blowing up saws left and right. I was talking to a buddy the other day, and he hasn't ported, and he said, I want to port like a really crazy whatever. And I told him, you got to crawl before you can walk. You got to walk before you can run. some of these builds you guys see us do, those of us that port, and there's a lot of good porters on YouTube. Um, some of those really nasty builds, that's the culmination of popping many saws over the years, or you're pushing the limits, and you'll hit that limit, and you'll go from a saw that's crazy to a saw that just goes boom. Um, that's why I tell people just to take it easy. A little here, a little there. You got to learn what each thing does, and then the shapes of your ports is really important. Intake. If you make your intake too big, you slow the intake charge down. Um, Stuff like that. If you make your intake taller, sometimes that's okay, but maybe you catch a ring in the intake. There's a lot of little moves that you have to pay attention to. I'm flopping, friends. I'm getting way behind here. Thanks, Nate. Oh, you guys are funny. A lot of good friends on this channel. Nobody wants to fix my 670 Johnster. It needs a cylinder and piston. Cam, you can put a cylinder and piston on that, like, pretty simple. Um, 4 bolts, undo the muffler and undo the back base of the carb. Take the carb linkage off, and off comes the top end. You can't get a 670 cylinder anymore, but you can put a 266 top end on that. That's how I started fixing saws. There's tons of blown up saws around here, and nobody wanted to fix them, so I was buying up old saws for $10, $20, and I was rebuilding them. Just catching up here, friends. Bernadette Gordon. My husband, Bob, loves your channel. I like your fireplace. Sorry, I hit a button. I've been doing really good on not touching things. I like your fireplace install. Anytime you want to add home rentals to your channel would be super. Thanks from Grand Prairie. Thanks, Bernadette. Hey, Bob. How's it going? Yeah, I work in residential construction. This is my hobby that's turned into what it is. But yeah, I'm a residential HVAC installer. So housing stuff, whether it's framing, or framing, finished carpentry, concrete work, shingles, that's stuff I'm around every day. So yeah, we might do some more of that. I'm hoping to work on my shop this year. I'm not sure. The way things are going, I'll have to wait and see. But in fact, this shop here, friends, I didn't have a channel when I did this, but half the trusses on this shop were rotten. I built new trusses for this shop and stood them. This whole side of the shop is brand new, actually. We added, Fab Willie helped me. We added 3 or 4 feet to the shop, maybe 5 feet. Hey, Kane Custom Garage, how's it going, buddy? On your break at work. Thanks for coming. In my opinion, what's my dream saw, Tin Man? You know what? The saw I probably lust after the most is either, well, that's a tough one. 125 Mac. I would love to play with one of those. They sound rowdy. So yeah, 125 Mac. I have never owned a real 372. You guys might laugh at that. I've always been looking for one. What else? 2100 Huskies up there. Probably a 655 boost port. Yeah, all big saws. Hey, Good Country Living. How's it, buddy? You've been on this channel a long time. Hey, Pixel. I think you need to be a regular guest star. Hey, like one of these, eh? Remember that guy? Bubbles? Oh, Steve-O, you're funny. Thank you, Pixel. Have you ever run a Still 076 111cc powerhouse? No, I have not. I would try one if somebody dropped one off here. Just catching up. Thanks for coming, Nicky. I like that Nick Pixel, friends. He's such a good fella. Met so many good people from this YouTube community. There's so many of you guys. I've made a lot of good friends, and it's just nice living rural like I do. There's not a lot of people out here. It's the kind of place where you can run a ported saw in the dark and nobody will even hear it. It's nice to have people around, through the YouTubes. Andreas Stangl, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, 076s are pretty rare. Brandon, I have a 125 Mac. How much for a porting job? Yeah, that's one thing, friends. I'm still not taking any work. I thank you guys for asking. You guys ask all the time. Every day, I get a nice email from somebody that wants me to do their saw. I had to make a decision right away when my channel started growing whether to take a bunch of power saws and try and wade my way through them, and I think I made the right decision, is I like this channel to be fluid and it can go where I want it to go. And I don't know. I don't know if I would enjoy being strapped to a bench all day porting saws. Not to say in the future that I won't take some builds for you guys. I've been thinking about that. There's quite a few of you that have been on this channel for a while that I would love to build a saw for. But at this point in time, I'm still not taking builds. I don't feel like I could fit them in. Yeah, and I do this because I love it, and I've made other hobbies into jobs, and it usually doesn't last 2 or 3 years, and I get tired of it, and then I move on to something else. I've been working on saws for a long time now, and I'm still enjoying this. Hello from Tennessee. 4 strokes suck. That's a funny name. Yeah, you can get bogged down really quick taking on jobs. Yeah, friends, I'm just a country boy. Um, this YouTube thing is incredible, but yeah, if I was taking work, I would literally be booked for 5 years in probably a month. Like it, yeah. A lot of folks want a Tin Man saw, which again, friends, I don't take that lightly. You guys would mail me your saw and let me do whatever I want to it, but yeah, it's tough. I want to help everybody, but at the same time, I think the channel would suffer. And this community that we've built here is more important to me than taking on a bunch of work. Um, I want a still 046 and a 620 Echo. Yeah, see, everybody has their dream saws. Yeah, and for me, stills, I like an 044 over a 460 or an 046. I find a really good 044 is the match of an 046, but it's lighter. So I've always been an 044 fan. My 044 is behind me. It's down. I got a carb issue. I like my 461 though. Like in my opinion, that's the best saw stills built in the last, maybe. I hear the 500i's got a big following. I've never run one, but out of all the stills I've run, I like that 461. I've never run it stock though, friends. I ported that thing without even putting a mile on it, but I really like the 461. Hey, still working. How's it going, buddy? Have you ever had chainsaw parts 3D printed? No, but I see a huge need for that. Some of these parts that are made of plastic. Maybe I'll get a 3D printer one day. Thoughts on an Echo CS8000? Funny story, Tim. Um, I have one. It's blown up. I can't repair it. It's too far gone. I was looking at it today just before I turned the camera on. I was digging through old boxes looking for something. And I went, I remember this still. Still. Echo CS8000. I would like to port one of those just because. Got an 050 under the bench. That's a little bit of a rare saw. Oh, Chatty Factory. Yeah, I'm not bored very often. No, I'm yeah, I'm a go gadget kind of fella. I'm always doing something between work, YouTube, working on saws, plowing snow. 440 hybrid is also nice too. Yeah. How's it going, Charlie Briscoe? That guy builds a mean saw, let me tell you. He's the Echo guy. His Echoes are strong saws. 046 or 044. Would love to see an MS361. I was actually looking at a 362 for sale yesterday. I haven't had a 60cc still in a long time. I come from like the 036 360 era. I never really was a huge fan of those. Don't flame me still, guys. They just weren't for me. I didn't feel like they brought a lot of power to the game, especially when you run like a 630 Super Johnson Red or 562. That's a newer saw, so that's kind of an apples to oranges comparison. But I always found that I wasn't a huge fan, but they were light. I like an 026 260 though, so maybe I'll pick up an 036 or a 360 361 and try and port one. What's my smallest saw? 200T. Yeah, probably my 200T is my smallest saw. Any recommendations on a decent tachometer? What's that one called? I think it's called a Tiny Tack. Hot Saws 101 on YouTube uses them all the time. I think that's the best tack. They are spendy. I've bought many different tacks. I find they work okay for a while, and then they become very unreliable. Now, funny story, I don't really use a tack very often. I tune everything by ear in the wood. The only time I use a tack is for 266s. Okay, I want to put this in the video. I've had a lot of emails lately. 266s generally leak here. If you guys can see that. The old ones have this carrier for the seal. These things warp and end up leaking. There's an O-ring behind here that seals this piece to the crankcase, and then you have your crank seal. Now on the other side, behind the oil pump, there's an O-ring there too. If you can't get that O-ring, glue the oil pump in with your regular sealant, and that'll usually do the trick. I wanted to show that on video today. I've had a lot of questions about that because you guys are building these saws, and so if you have a saw that just won't, you're having issues, it's usually on this side if it's an old one. They got rid of this about midway through production, and this became part of the case. So just wanted to mention that. Yeah, Marcel, that was always my question. Will that 3D printed stuff crack under vibrations? Yeah, that 153 is a pretty rare saw. I'm gonna get that running. I tried again today. I think that if that saw's been sitting for a decade, which I think it was, I think that's what Nate said. That thing could be rusted on there pretty good. I'm gonna give her another good go. I still think the 462 and 572 are like two of the perfect size power saws, and it seems the 572 has more bottom than the 500i. Yeah, Nick, that's what I've heard. Um, if I was gonna buy a new saw, which I might, I'm thinking about it. I'm kind of on the fence. I think I'd buy a 572, and it would have a Walker Eye sticker on it. I think it's my dream, friends. I started this because I ran a Walker Eye 372 that Donnie built, and I want to own a Walker Eye saw when I grow up. XL76 versus 1010 automatic. I'm going to give that to the 76 every time. XL76, they're not fast. That is one of the strongest little saws ever made. That's why Buchan's 76 is the way it is. I took a strong saw and made it stronger. If a cylinder is not aluminum chrome, but the piston is, would a chainsaw last? Would chainsaw last long? I don't know. I'm gonna say probably not, because the ring is what actually rides on the plating in the bore, and if you had an aluminum bore, you can have an iron bore. That old Mac there's got an iron bore. If you didn't have a lining in the bore, it would probably just take the plating off. Tidman, what's your favorite coffee? I've been drinking French vanilla coffee from Tim Hortons lately at home. It's not cheap, but it sure is delicious. I'm gonna have some when I get in the house. Joe Reynes, Nick, I bought a 462 lightly used with a wrap handle and 28-inch bar for under $1,000. You like that 462, Joe? Maybe I'll get a 462. That's the thing. I don't know enough about the new saws. I've never run any of the new crop of saws. I'm kind of interested in the 500i, but I always go Husky. You guys know me. I was 100% still for quite a while, and then I started buying Huskies, and I was like, I really like these. Yeah, Nick, I need to get caught up at work. This weather's been really slowing down production. Does the 162 have the same problems? Yes. The 162 and a 266 are the same saw. The only difference is this has a 50 millimeter bore. That's a 266. 162 is a 48 millimeter bore. That's it. They're exactly the same. Intake. The early 266s have the same ignition, flywheel, intake, carburetor, muffler. You can't tell the two apart, except for the 162 has a fastback cover. The intake or the air filter is a little bit different, but other than that, they are the identical saw. See you later, Kane. Thanks for coming, buddy. Our fuel oil furnace is popular in my area. Repair is a dying art here in Northeast Georgia. Yeah, I just had this conversation with a fella in Ontario. We typically, the only people that heat with fuel oil are people up north sometimes. Around here, it's natural gas or electricity. Electricity is really cheap where I live. We make a lot of it. I think there's 8 or 9 dams that generate hydropower in this province. And yeah, I know a couple of amazing furnace repairmen, but yeah, it's becoming a dying art. Well, yeah, Pixel, I never feel as old as I am. I'm 18 in my brain. $460 all the way. Yeah, and see, for me, Nate, I like a 461 because I like the lightest saw possible. For me, if I'm going heavy, then I'm gonna grab like a 94. I've never liked the ergonomics of the 046 460, and that's the thing. Yeah, I always find it funny. Guys will go back and forth over which saw is better. I think um, we all we're all built differently. We all do different cutting. Everybody likes a different length of bar. Um, I think whatever saw you like is the right idea, right? That's one thing I don't argue about porting technique or which saw is better because just like arguing which depends on what you do. I know guys that drive a V6 Dodge Ram with the light rear suspension, and that's the best thing since sliced bread. Um, you know, I like my 3/4 ton Chevy, but I also like my Tundra. It depends on what I'm doing. So, yeah, I was working on the 590 yesterday. That saw is just not cooperating. I think it's fixed now. You're gonna have to watch the video. I did get it running yesterday, but that's just been one of those saws. I show it when I have something to report on. Otherwise, um, I've kind of uh, it did go good yesterday. Again, you'll have to watch the video. I made it yesterday morning, but it's just been one of those saws. Yeah, I'd like to try one of those 500 eyes. They sound rowdy. Like I like the way they sound. See, Jason prefers pool and counter vibes. It reminds me, friends. I was looking in one of my saw shelves. I gotta get that 5200 out again and try and rig up some anti vibes for it. The anti vibes on that saw are completely torn, and when you touch it to the wood, it revs up really bad. So that's why I shelved it. But I do have a complete low hour, kind of rough looking 5200 counter vibe. I'd like to port it. It's kind of a reed saw that's 80 cc's. Yeah, I've run a 3120. Um, I find those big saws like an 880. I wanted an 880 till I ran one. I find those big saws, unless you got like a 4 foot bar on it or something and you're pulling hardwood, I find they're not the fastest in your average size wood. So, I mean, even like that P61, that thing's an animal. But if you did a cutoff in 30-inch wood against my 461 will handily outcut it. Um, but yeah, 3120 would be cool with a pipe on it. I have a 4900 I'm going to port soon. Yeah, I love those old Poulins. They're a really really nice saw. I've had many. I got rid of a bunch of my Poulins to trade for home lights, so that I traded for a bunch of 76s. I kind of wish I had those Poulins back. What did you guys think of that 850? Oh, I see 850's a beast. Casterman, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, that 850 is nice. It's a good balance of speed and grunt. A lot of internal mods to that engine, not just porting the lighter rotating assembly. That there's a lot of hours in that saw, but when I got it together, once I got the second pipe on it, I knew I had something. So I like porting those old saws. They take 10 times the amount of time, but I don't know. I guess it's whether you like, a new turbo car or an old muscle car. I'm more of the old muscle car kind of guy. Yeah, the 590 has a non-fixed high jet in it now. I swapped for a different one. 2188, a decent saw. I see quite a few of them for sale. Yeah, that's a good saw. I would take one of those. My 850 came in the mail. I should fire it up tonight and see what it sounds like. You should, Daryl. Those 850s, they're nice saws. Uh, you have a healthy 850 if you need a decomp to start it. So, if you go and yard on that thing, make sure the decop's pushed in. I've literally pulled 850s into myself trying to start them. Those things have gobs of compression. Love what you did with the muffler. Thanks. That was myself and Buckin. We worked together on that to kind of. Buckin knows a lot about pipes, and I listen to what he has to say because often he knows kind of where to go with it, right? So I try and take his ideas and bring them into something tangible is what I do. When's the Manitoba meetup? You seem to be about halfway from Buckin. Yeah, you never know. Maybe we'll have a get together on my property one day. I'll get a semi load of wood dropped off. That would be fun, eh, Nick? Love to see a Makita Dolmar 7900 7910. Me too. That's a new saw that I would like to buy before you can't get one anymore. Oh, here. You guys keep asking. Just give me a second. Oh. There you go. Whoa. The saw's a little nose heavy now with that wrap bar on it. You guys keep asking that. Hey, Jordan Mark. How's it going, buddy? Another friend of this channel. Yeah, I would love a 7900 Dolmar. There's no dealers here. There's one place I inquired. They never got back to me. It's like, I'd like a couple of them, or, they never got back to me. So, I mean, I don't really use dealers for much anymore, but, yeah, I'd like one of those. Long bore. I feel like those would port up probably like a still. Stills usually make a lot of power when you port them. Yeah, 7900 would be a lot of fun. Yeah, better late than never. Yeah, Jordan, thanks for coming, buddy. It almost seems like large pipes are doing better than the 80% rule. See, here's the thing about pipes. You never know what a pipe's going to do till you do it. I don't really have hard and fast rules for pipes anymore. My pipes are built based on timing numbers. I've made a little bit of an algorithm as to what kind of a pipe a saw needs based on the timing numbers. Blowdown is a big indicator of how open a pipe should be, I'm finding. And, but yeah, and I usually use round pipe. Round will always outflow square. So you need less of a big pipe if you use round over square. I find a square pipe needs to be a little bit bigger. But I'm still learning. I'm going to fire up the welder soon. I was just looking at it over there. I'm going to fire up the welder soon and do some more pipes. .066 meg is a heck of a saw for the first time saw owner. Yeah, 066 mag is a good saw, especially the old ones. There's a saw. I'm gonna try and find like an 066. I would like to port one on the channel. Harvey speaks so highly of ported 66 mags. I've never owned one, but that's something I'd like to do in the near future, is get a 66 mag going on the channel and see what we can do with it. I'm curious. Lots of parts available. .500Is are lots of fun, but built a bit too soft compared to the 462, they say. There was just a time in the 80s and 90s saws were right. I agree. Late 80s to about mid 90s is where the best saws came out. Even like, this is an 86, this is a 87. This is an incredible, incredible saw. Yeah, it's a little heavy, it's a little clunky, But it's like the kind of power that these old saws made is incredible. If you've ever run one of these, if you ever get a chance, try it. These old big bore Huskies pull the living bejesus out of a saw, out of a chain. Um, they're not fast, but they're tractors, and they just pull and pull and pull. Who makes a good air filter for the 661? What's that air filter called that the still guys run? I can't remember. One of you guys in the comments probably knows. What's that air filter called that you buy for the stills? It's on the tip of my tongue. Somebody will know. Max Flow. There you go. Thank you. Still working. Yeah, try a Max Flow. That's one thing. One thing I've always disliked about stills is the air filters clog. I have a hard time with that. A Husky, I can run, my 562, I can run that thing for 4 or 5 days before the air filters got enough debris to tap it out. I don't even look at it after I'm done running it. I don't know if the newer stills are better. My 461, same thing. I got to clean that thing all the time. Do I know anything about a still 042 or 048? Nada. I know it's probably a cool power saw. That's about it. Yeah, Max Flow. I should buy one of those for my 461. That would probably work a little better than the stock, do you guys think? That thing clogs like every couple tanks. I gotta tap it out. Got a Max Flow. My 661 works great with the oiled filter. It really barks through the intake with it on. Highly recommended. I like a saw with a good induction growl. Same thing with bikes. I always like Ducatis because when you roll onto a Ducati in the mid range, all you hear is carbs or intake or throttle bodies just growling. I used to love that. What brand of saw do you think would be the simplest to port for a guy that just wants to get his feet wet? That's tough. Still or Husky. 372s port up nice, pretty easy. Like 365s, that chassis. 266s wake up really well. Depends. It's pretty much the same amount of work to port any saw unless you get into the really new stuff. Any saw the stuff that I showed in the how to port a chainsaw series can be applied to any saw. Remember though, the smaller the saw, don't raise your exhaust roof super high or you will drop all torque. You will end up with a saw that doesn't pull in the wood. If you're just standing up cutting, smaller sticks and stuff with a small saw, you're fine. But if you get into something bigger, the minute you dog it in, that saw will... a good ported saw... listen to that 850 when Buchan's cutting with it. It goes, bah! It doesn't slow down or waver in its pull. That's what we say when a saw has pull. If you can just put it in the wood and it pulls itself through and the RPM is very consistent, that's a good saw to me. So just be aware, if you're going to port a small saw, don't raise the exhaust roof too high. Hey Tin Man, just saw a Husky 61 on my local for sale. It's a saw, some extra parts, and extra crank flywheel handles for $75. Scoop that up. Don't tell anybody. Go get it right now. I would. You can build that into a 272, 266, whatever you want to do. If it's a gray top one, you can fit a 272 top end under it. If it's not, then a 266 will fit. Hey, Aaron the Wood Chopper Massey. What's the general opinion on a 480 Husky? I know a guy who's looking to sell his. A 480 is basically this, just with a smaller top end, 80cc. Very similar. It's probably a grunty saw. I've never owned one. if you throw a max full on, make sure you put on a good flowing muffler like a bark box or something, let the air out. Yeah, yeah, it's funny. I don't even own a saw with a stock muffler on it. That's like the first thing I do. I either pull the grinder out, fish gill it, or weld a pipe in. I'm doing good, Mr. Woodchopper. I have a 40cc saw with an exhaust at 90. It's a blast for a living, but you wouldn't catch me felling anything with it. Yeah, exactly. 90 on the exhaust is crazy. Probably giggly to run though. That's the thing. And again, that's why I never like. Everybody's gonna build something different. I have saws that are really zippy. They're not the torquiest, but if I'm doing smaller work, they're super fast. Um, Sometimes I want a gruntier saw. That's what's hard. When I do port for other people, I like to know the person. I like to know how they sharpen, what they cut, the bar length. That all factors in to what kind of saw. I don't have a one saw fits all people kind of mentality, and that's why it's important to run a timing or use a timing wheel and track your results because like with bucking, I build a different saw for bucking than I would build for me. Why? His wood's way bigger. A saw that's absolutely crazy here might not have enough pull to be buried 32 inches of bar in his wood. So, it's very important. Do I have Facebook? No, I do not do the Facebook. I do have an Instagram that I've never used. I'd like to start posting on Instagram this summer, this little clips and things like that. But no, I don't. I don't do the Facebook. I used to, but I just I spend enough time on YouTube that it's nice to get away from the screen sometimes. I love the top corner ports. They sound great. Yeah, for sure they do. Buckin is a different breed of man altogether. Yeah, he's a good guy. Um, to me, he's a top level race car driver, and I get to build him the cars. My saws will never be as good with me running them. Why? Because I'm not the driver, I'm the mechanic, right? So that's why I like getting the feedback. And, I like people to be honest with me. What do you think of this saw? What could be better? What do you like about it? What kind of chain is it pulling? Again, it's all in the chain too. Every saw is not going to pull the same chain. So I like guys that'll take that time to get a good chain on it, and it's important. Would you port an 088? Yeah, I would probably port it to make it faster for sure. But if it was going on a mill, I probably wouldn't port it at all. It just depends on what you're going to do with it. Hello from New Jersey. Been watching your videos for quite some time. I learned to port watching you, but I'm still learning how to calculate numbers with a degree wheel, port timing, duration. Yeah, it takes a while. It took me a lot of practice to learn how to get all the numbers. Now I can just look at numbers, know what the duration is, and kind of know where to go, but it takes a long time. How can I chat? How can I video chat? What, with me, Matthew Workshop? Oh, I don't really do that kind of stuff. I just don't have time, buddy. If you have a question or something that you'd like me to answer, just send me an email. tinmansaws@gmail.com. I try and answer as many as I can. Who did Buckin's 362 still? I can't remember the fella's name. He watches the channel. I think he did a good job. That saw sounds really good. There's a lot of good saw builders out there. I can't wait for a bucket stock that all of us saw builders can hang out together. I'd like to chat with some of you guys. I'd also like to be able to answer your questions in real time. Hey, Carl Trudeau. How's it going, buddy? think we're gonna pack this up here pretty soon. But thanks for showing up. Better late than never. That's what Jordan Mark said, and I agree. Donnie Walker or Bellhopper? I do believe. What, the 362? No, a subscriber did that for him. A fella that watches all of our channels sent that to him. The 357 Donnie Walker did. That's a good running saw. Okay, friends. I think we are going to shut her down for the day. I'm going to go in and put my feet up and hang out a little bit. Yes, that 357 is rowdy. Thank you to everybody for coming to hang out. I'm trying to make this a regular Sundays. The weather's just been really cold. I find my internet's not very sharp when it's cold, so I usually do like a little test, and if my spare device doesn't log in really good, I kind of I haven't been doing the live feeds, but we're gonna try and make it a regular thing. Yes, thank you everybody for hitting the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Either way, feedback is good. I like to know what you guys are thinking. Thank you to everybody that subscribes. One thing, friends, a lot of people have been mentioning they're not getting the notifications. Hit that little bell next to subscribe and put all, the one at the top, and then you'll get all notifications so you guys can watch the videos when they come. Right on. Thanks, Aaron Woodchopper. Go Brandon, still working. Pixel, Beanser, I love all the Daves. Huge Pines, Ray Dirksen, Sagebrush Hillbilly, Tasman, Peppy. I like that Peppy. He's been here a long time. Right on. Later, everybody. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you this week. Stay tuned. I got a bunch of videos coming out on the 590. And I was messing around with this. Oh, and I'll show you guys that snowstorm tomorrow on tomorrow's videos. You guys got to see. It was epic. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Take her easy. Later, Paul Wright. Later, guys. Oh, I just about fell there. Later, everybody.